Well, I got done cutting hay a little while ago, and it's literally some of the roughest stuff that we cut year in and year out, and it's waterways and it's pasture ground. And the reason it's some of the roughest stuff we cut is because pastures are generally uneven, and I mean, for the most part, I avoid the really gnarly spots of the field or of the pastures, but you do tend to find some rocks and whatnot, and I mean, it's not really something you want to drag a machine through. I also went through and did waterways, and the reason that waterways is so rough on equipment is the fact that when you're planting season, fall, harvest season, when you're doing tillage, you're coming into waterways. If you don't pick up your implement soon enough, you can actually dig up your waterway or pull dirt into the waterway. Then you get these dirt clumps or piles that the cutter bar digs into, and it throws dirt and debris all over the machine. That's what I got in here. I just went through and I changed all the blades, or swapped them around. I got 4 new ones just because they were literally that bad. But now that the blades are changed, I got to go through it, so I got the gloves on. I'm going to grease it, then I'm going to back it down and hit it with the pressure washer and get all this dirt buildup out of here, because that is just added weight on the machine that you really don't want to have to drag through the field if you don't want to. So I just got done refilling my parts tray. I mean, yes, I do got blades that have been used already. Looks like I swapped them out with new blades, and they were worth keeping because they were only cut on one side. While we're talking about that subject, why don't I go through and sharpen these up? I used to. I did. I honestly used to sharpen these blades as they were on the machine. I would put a vice grip on them. I'd take an angle grinder, you know, the hand ones, and I would sharpen them up. The problem is, for the ground that we run in, even if we just purely stuck in just the field ground, if, you know, none of this rough terrain stuff, well, the problem is when you start taking more of this metal off and you start shaving it back, this gets more brittle. It doesn't, well, just common sense, less metal it has here to support itself, the more brittle it's going to be for impacting a rock or the ground or whatever else. And I've just found that when it gets to the point where they start to get dull, I mean, I can see where I actually could have ran that a little bit. Yeah, I know it's dull, but I actually could have ran that for a few more hours from the looks of it. But as far as getting carried away trying to save money by sharpening these knives, I'm over it. I've gone through that point in my life, and I've just come to find out that if it needs to be flipped over, flip it over. I can actually, I don't know if I can find them real quick for you. The baler had some issues too. Looks like I'm missing a tooth, but they gotta get a little bit more gnarly than that before I'm gonna swap the teeth out. Here is one of the blades I just changed. Actually looks like it's the worst one. Oh, if you guys are also wondering about the baler, I haven't really discussed it too much. That video gave me issues. This is the good rim, but the baler has new rims on it now because, well, right here, they're starting to crack out. Right there, right there, right there, and right there. The lower one, they're all cracked out. There was no way at all on this side of Wisconsin were those rims going to last until corn fodder. So I'm glad I found them when I did, especially for the amount of hills that I'm on with it. It's a huge safety thing where it was just change them out and be done. They're white. I'm not crazy about that, but a little spray paint and we'll be fine. These are the kind of blades that, this is what happens when you find a rock in the field and you just swap them right out. Actually, that would really mess your hand up if you grab that wrong, so you gotta be careful when you're working on this stuff. But compared to a new blade, a bad blade, and a, you know, runner-up backup blade, it just makes more sense just to swap them out with newer blades. Because in my experience, when you're going through and just sharpening these, it seems like I spent more time stopped in the field throughout my day and swapping out the bent, busted blades like this because I shimmed them down or shaved them down too much where they couldn't support any abuse. I mean, the A word isn't something anybody wants to hear about when it comes to their machinery, but operating equipment is rough on everything. I mean, it was meant to be used, not be sitting in the shed and looked at. But it seems like I had more downtime trying to save time and money by, well, it didn't save me time, but it did save us money by trying to sharpen them. It seemed like it was just more of a headache. Secondly, would we go to a self-propelled machine? I mean, free up to 76, less hours on that, which is a pretty good topic that comes across quite a bit as far as saving hours on the 76. I would love to save hours on the 76. It has just under 8,500 hours. Few people are wondering exactly how many hours it has on it. I really don't know why that matters. It's 8,400 or 8,500 hours on it. That's, and the long and the short of it, it is what it is. The thing is with getting a self-propelled machine, other than the fact, let's just put aside the fact that I really don't feel like we have enough acres to justify it. It would be really nice for waterways. We demoed that one from the deer dealer, and cutting up waterways with that thing was so nice. I mean, you're not doing the turning and the forward, back, drop, move ahead a little bit, turn, twist, which is what you generally have with this. When you're cutting waterways, the stuff that I just cut this morning and last night, you have to go into it with the mindset of that's what you're going to do, because it is incredibly time consuming, and you have to have the desire to want to be there. And just simply put, you have to actually want to be doing it, because it's not as fun as cutting field ground. A self-propelled machine, putting aside the amount of acres needed to justify one, some of the ground that we run, the valley, I don't feel confident running a machine like that on that ground. For one, the hills. It has the steepest and the levelest ground all in one convenient location that we run. Steep enough where you're in the tractor, you don't lose focus on what you're doing. Level enough where it's kind of nice to actually, when you get in the level spots, where you can just kind of go on autopilot and just drive. But also when you get down in the bottom in the wetter areas, I like a side pull hydro swing machine, is because when I'm up in the tractor and I'm not sure how far out I can go into, say, standing crop, what I'm doing is from the cab up there, I'm watching this tire back here. I'm watching my tire tracks. And if I'm not seeing any mud, any wet material coming up on the tire or anything else like that, I know I can make another pass. With the self-propelled machine, the whole weight of that machine is right there in the thick of it, right in all the action. And usually, generally, by the time you figure out that you are in, okay, Family Channel, that you're in trouble, it's already too late. And the problem is that we generally work alone. Now, that might sound kind of terrible to some people. For a lot of people, that probably doesn't seem like that big of a deal, because I'm sure you guys do it yourselves. But when you generally work alone, like Ryan cut his place by himself, I cut yesterday down at my place by myself. Dad was cultivating the other day by himself. Yes, you have cell phones, but cell phones, radios especially, they're not foolproof. They're not 100% reliable. And when I go down to the valley, you might as well say that you're pretty much off the grid. You let everybody know that's where you're going, but I have to either, depending on where I get stuck, which I've only been stuck down there once, and not in the last 5 years, I have to be either right next to the river, the Grant River, or I haven't had to do it yet. Hopefully I never do. I would literally have to hoof it and either try to send a text out and hope my phone can get it out, or as far as a phone call, it's hit or miss. So I don't want to really go down with the machine that I don't really feel that confident in. Not saying I wouldn't feel confident. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't feel confident in a self-propelled machine going down there. If you're just doing your stereotypical rolling hills and all that stuff like that, I mean, it would be great. I liked it when we ran it on the ground that we ran it across, but a standalone machine is nice. Yes, I'm gonna make the argument it's one motor to worry about. If I was actually gonna generally, in a broad sense, what would I get? A self-propelled machine or another tractor? I'll get another tractor any day of the week. The reason being is because it is another motor, it's another power takeoff, it's another tractor seat I can throw a body in, and we can hopefully work together a little bit more often, because the machine behind me is nice, but it's a lumbering horse. It's long. It doesn't have 540. The problem with that one is because it's narrowed up, I don't like when anybody takes the 40/20 down to the valley. I cringe a little bit at the thought of it. We have to do it to a certain extent, but me, Ryan, or Dad, we are all very much qualified machine operators. For any of the machinery on the farm, any of us can jump in it and go. I don't like when really any of us take that down there, just because I like to go out of my way to make sure that that doesn't go anywhere near any of the steep parts of that farm, because I don't want to see anybody get hurt. Another tractor that could be used for spring tillage, planting, making hay, hauling grain in the fall is huge. My dad absolutely loves the 40/20, but even he says something else with even a sound guard cab would make the days a lot more bearable than sitting in the 40/20 all day. Yes, you can sit and fight the elements and sweat all day long, and I mean, there's some guys that they think that's a medal to wear, that all they run is open station equipment, and if you feel that way, that's great. But I got a long farming career ahead of me yet, and so does my brother. My dad has ideally decades ahead of him yet, and I don't see the point in beating yourself up if you can actually try to go for more comfort. I feel that way, and we're just not an operation that we could justify at the moment. We couldn't justify a self-propelled machine where it's completely dedicated to one job. Same thing with the self-propelled round baler or anything like that. It's just, it makes more sense to have more chore tractors that we can pull pins and utilize them all across the farm, because we aren't just a grain crop operation. We're cattle, we're hay, we're grains. We move grain with our machinery, with our tractors, and it's been a pretty steady point on my channel for basically as long as I've been online. We need another tractor. Potentially we need two more, just because we have days where we all could be focusing more on one task, but we just don't simply have the tractors that are capable of doing it. With that merger, we got the 76 and we got the 40/20. Obviously it's going to go in the 76. We can probably put it on the 40/20 on some more of the leveler stuff, but power, convenience, we can't go front wheel drive. It's more of a stable tractor than the 40/20. I actually need that on a cultivator right now. I got a laundry list of things I need to be working on, between making hay and getting equipment serviced and keeping equipment serviced and ready to go, and moving hay, transporting hay between farms, dealing with cattle, cultivating. I actually have a bunch of ground down at my place I have to reseed, because the new seeding didn't take, so the 82 gets to be pulled right back out of the machine shed, and we're going to work up a bunch of the ground down at my place, get it loosened up just a little bit. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to coat it with grass seed, because I need something growing there. I'm getting tired of our waterways not sticking like they should. So with that, did I answer your question? Yes or no? If I'm not clear enough, I hope I was. That is why we do not want a Discbine, a self-propelled Discbine. If I didn't answer your question clearly enough, make sure you comment below. But I really feel like I did. I'll probably answer it again in another 6 to 10 months. Oh well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch. Talk to you guys later.